O'clock. Welcome everybody to the Shabbat welcome at the Tyler House in upstate New York. It's a beautiful day here. Although fall is coming, the leaves are starting to already fall, and hopefully it's been. We have our Russian dogs, the Siberian Huskies, coming in to say hello. Sasha. She's going down, I think, Pat. She's going down, Pat. All right. So we welcome all of you, and it's informal, as you can see, the way we are. And the Big Ben chimes are going off. When my parents passed, they left us a grandfather clock, and it sounds beautiful. I heard it my whole life. She's on the ground, Pat. I think she's going to be good.
Good girl.
Good girl, Sasha. Maru. All right. So I'm going to start off with what I do every week.
Don't I light the candles?
And we'll read. Yeah, you can light the candles first. So welcome to Sabbath. There you are.
Shu? Is
Sasha.
everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay. I want to say first, Baruchim Habayim, and we'll go into that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said they.
Yehovah Eloheinu Melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'adlik nashel Shabbat. I also want to say the blessings over the bread and the wine. Baruch Atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And Baruch Atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Thank you for the grape juice and the bread.
Yeah.
And these flowers here, I just wanted to show everybody. Everyone's familiar with hydrangeas, but this is from a hydrangea tree in our backyard. And as it gets closer to fall, the sun hits the tops and they start to turn pinkish and then purple. Just wanted to show you that.
Mm.
Aren't they beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
And we start off with, after that blessing, thank you, and the welcoming of Shabbat. Once it's here, we are going to follow the commandment as best as we can. Of course, we start out with Shema Yisrael. Hear, O Israel, Elohim our Elohim. Elohim is one. And you shall love Elohim your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, very exceedingly. And these words, which I am commanding you today, shall be upon your heart and taught incisively to your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house and as you walk along the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they will be as bands between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorframes of your house and your gates, because Elohim made a covenant with you in Horeb on the day of the assembly. Directly from the Almighty. We are using the Moses Scroll Second Commandment, but any of the Second Commandments are good. It's really one of the 10 that was written in stone, and it's important to us, and I think most of the people here, it's very important too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a day that can be changed either, by the way, in my opinion. Sanctify the seventh day, and you shall cease on it, because in 6 days I made the heavens and the earth, and all that is in them, and I ceased on the seventh day. Therefore you shall also cease, you and your animal and all that is yours. I am Elohim, your Elohim. I like that first person. Moses just talking to God right there. Kind of hard to mess that one up. Okay, we're going to go to this week in history in September 7th or 13th. It is believed, and again, it's hard. Further back you go, the harder it is to prove. 2105 BCE, Noah dispatches the raven on the 10th of Elul on the year 1556 from the creation, or 2105 BCE. These are according to the Hebrew or the Jewish recording of the dates, is the great flood neared its end. Noah opened the window of the ark and dispatched a raven to determine if the floodwaters had begun to recede. This is, of course, from Genesis 8:1. In 122 of the Common Era, Hadrian's Wall began in the north of England. If you've ever been up there, it's quite a monumental wall that's still there. They've found a lot of things by the wall, like people's shoes and stuff like that. In 1501 CE, Michelangelo begins work on the statue of David, a masterpiece of the Renaissance sculpture. If you've never seen it, it's quite amazing. Out of one piece of marble. Unbelievable work that Michelangelo did. In 1625 CE, 16 rabbis, including Isaiah Horowitz, are imprisoned in Jerusalem for being Jews. In 1775, Gotthold Lessing's Die Juden premieres in Frankfurt am Main. This is how far back the Germans did not like Jews. Amazing. So this week,
I think my thing's next.
yeah, we're gonna, yeah.
Next one.
It,
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Hebrew word of the week. So just to understand what we're going to talk about tonight, we got some comments from people. I believe this was from Nikita, and also I believe the other one was from Marianne. And when you send us things that you'd like us to talk about and that you would like to talk about, you're more than welcome to.
Okay. Bruchim Habayim. Welcome, everybody. So the Hebrew word for this week, we're going to do a new word every week, is welcome. The singular is Baruch Haba for male, and Brucha Haba'a for female. Bruchim Habayim, which I already said, is for a group of males or a mixed gender group, and this is the one that you will commonly see in signs as you're entering Israel. It's one of my favorite signs, so welcome. And Bruchat Habaot for a group of females. So welcome, everyone, and I hope you like this little addition. Thank you, Nikita, for your suggestion.
So every week we're going to try to put up another just simple common word. And
if I've made any mistakes, please feel free to correct me, because I am still a student of Hebrew, like we all are, and your comments are always welcome. Yes,
and of course Ross teaches a Hebrew class, and it's extremely important for all of us to learn Hebrew to understand the Bible better. There's a movie called Lost in Translation, and there's always something lost in a translation. We do a lot of development of language courses, and of course cultural parts of those courses. You just can't speak a language and then not know the culture. For instance, in modern standard Arabic in Iraq, there are three major groups that speak it differently: Sunni, Shia, and of course Kurds. And there are other smaller groups who even speak it differently. So you have to understand the culture of where you're speaking.
Definitely, culture matters.
Yeah, and if you look at the cultural difference in language, not only pronunciation, but from Boston to, say, New Orleans, you'll see a lot of different words being used, and a lot of different ways the words are thought of. And I think I talked about some of what happened in.
Well, real funny, when we had a Kurdish man.
PhD
as a consultant for us, and he said that in some country, I don't know what country it was, but it's extremely offensive to peel a banana from the wrong end.
Yes.
So
there's cultural things.
Right.
Yes.
So the cultural things, all the countries have something similar like that.
I think I also spoke of before, but I won't go into too much detail here, but I was teaching a course at McAllister Army Depot in southern Oklahoma. I flew into Dallas-Fort Worth. Rain and tornadoes made me get there late. I got in the hotel room around 1 a.m. I had to be on base at 6 a.m. And I just couldn't believe, as I was driving in, it said, "Welcome to McAllister, Oklahoma, home of Dagos and Cowboys." Now, Did I say this on
You
one
do
already?
the story.
Okay. I've told it so many times, but all I'm going to say is you wouldn't use the term Dago in New York, or you would get a fistful of, knuckles. There, it was perfectly a understandable term. All right, we're going to go to that was Nikita's suggestion. This next one, I believe, was Marianne.
Yes,
Okay.
Miriam wanted to talk about the Aaronic blessing.
Yeah, and
That's a great suggestion. So Dave did a little bit of research and he knows a few things about it.
Yeah.
And so we'd like to bring that up. Do you want to read the blessing before you?
I have it all.
You have it all. Okay.
Yeah. Discussion. There it is right there.
Okay.
So I'm using American Standard Version, and normally it's considered Numbers 6, chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And I'm going to use the term Jehovah here. And Jehovah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel. You shall say unto them, Jehovah bless thee and keep thee. Jehovah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Jehovah lift his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. So shall they put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. So I'm going to start, and I want you people to jump in here. I'm going to start with historically what is this meant. In the Birkat Kohanim, or the priestly blessing in Judaism, this blessing is one of the oldest and most important blessings in the liturgy of the Jewish people. The different denominations of Judaism are more modern. Certainly, David wouldn't know what an Orthodox or a conservative Jew was. The blessing is traditionally recited by the Kohanim, the priests, descendants of Aaron, during service on Jewish holidays, particularly in Orthodox and conservative synagogues today. During the recitation, the Kohanim raised their hands and blessed the congregation while covering their faces with the talit, or the prayer shawl, symbolizing God's presence and protection. These are, of course, rabbinical, but it's how it's looked on there. In everyday life, the blessing is recited by parents on Shabbat, the Sabbath, of course, as they bless their children. It is a request for divine protection, favor, and peace, symbolizing God's covenant with Israel and his ongoing care for his people. Next slide. Really, there's other issues in there. Symbolism of God's favor and covenant. Each part of the blessing signifies aspects of the relationship between God and the people of Israel. Bless thee and keep thee represents God's provision and protection. Make his face to shine symbolizes divine favor and approval, suggesting intimacy and closeness with God. Be gracious, emphasize mercy and kindness, reminding the Israelites of God's love and care. And give thee peace, or shalom, is more than peace in the sense of the absence of conflict. It represents wholeness, completeness, and the flourishing of life under God's blessing. Which reminds me, we should talk about the word shalom next week, because that's
word of the day.
There's a lot to that word.
Because there are deeper meanings than just peace. It's a lot more going on there.
All right. And then finally, on the historical one, the idea of God placing his name upon the people of Israel underscores their unique identity as his chosen people, living in a covenantal relationship. Connection to the temple, just throw that in there. Historically, the Aaronic blessing was closely tied to the Temple of Jerusalem, where it was recited as part of the daily offerings. With the destruction of the temple, the blessing shifted into synagogue practice, which you can see. Of course, they would never use the term Jehovah or Yehovah or Yahweh. They would just say Adonai, or maybe even Hashem, depending on the type of group it was with.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to go over that. And if anyone wants to talk about those things, you're more than free to come up and talk now, or about any other issue that has been,
Happened this week. How was your week? How's your day?
Yep. And Miriam wants to speak. All right. We're going to invite Miriam to speak, and then Betty after that. Let me see, Miriam. Okay. How we doing now, Miriam? You got your mute on. Get on mute. I don't have like Zoom. I can't unmute you. You there, Miriam? You're mute.
I just saw something move in her icon there.
Yeah. I'm not hearing
Shabbat
it.
shalom, Miriam. Find that mute button. It seems to move, doesn't it?
No, it's unmuted. She's
Oh.
just having trouble getting through.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Miriam? We have to work on
I
this.
think she's moving around to a different spot, maybe.
Yeah.
See if she
Volume.
can get a connection.
Clody says volume. Does anyone else hear Miriam? My user volume's all up on her. Anyone else hear Miriam? Hello?
Well, while Miriam is looking for that, let's give her a minute.
No.
Can
No.
I give a shout out to some of our YouTube people?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to say hey to Tanakh Tours. I have a feeling that might be Jono there. Barbara Lamar is here. Susan R. Let's see, and I think I have to scroll up to see who are these people. But Ruchim Habayim, everybody.
Yeah. And Betty's up.
Oh, we have Clo, Miriam, Sylvia, Jonah, and
No sound, yeah. Okay, Betty, you're muted. All right, Betty, you there?
Hey, Betty.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. So
Great.
nice to hear
Great.
your voice. How did you survive the hurricane in Louisiana?
Actually, we did very well. I spent many hours bringing all my plants in and getting water and preparing food, and everything was fine. So I I just got a workout, which was fine. That was okay because we were safe, but I was concerned about others.
Sure.
Well, we never want to.
Is
Pardon?
Amy well?
Is Amy any better?
Amy is she is slowly getting better. She has labs on Monday and a follow-up doctor's appointment on Friday. She's just doesn't have her energy back. But Baruch Hashem, she's hopefully on the mend. So
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much.
I think I forgot. How could I forget to say Shabbat Shalom?
Yes.
Because that was beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah,
you were one
the
of the
most
first
important thing.
You were one of the first people that ever said that to me.
Oh, I was? Ah.
Yeah.
How long
Even
has that been, Dave, when I met you guys? Do you remember?
Probably 2008 or something. I met you.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Well, that is one of my favorite Hebrew sayings, and the other is the Aaronic benediction. That has been, I memorized it in Hebrew by listening over and over and over and transliterating it as I was, and listening to it when I was on my daily walks.
yeah.
And it finally got imprinted in my brain. I have prayed it over all of my grandchildren. And when the first time I saw them,
Yeah.
and my great grandchildren, except the new one.
Yeah.
I just think it's really, really important, and it was always a part of our Sabbath Friday night service as well. Roger and I used to say it to one another, and then when he couldn't do that anymore, I would sing it to him because it. To me, I just think it's beautiful.
Yes.
And it connects us.
Yes. Yes. When we were at Shabbat at Simcha Jacobovich's house in Israel, he would pray it over his every child. He would grab hold of them
On Shabbat.
Yes. and pray that. And it was something that we never did to our kids, but we were kind of late to the party.
But you can just kind of see the love transfer from Simcha to each of the children.
Yes.
It's so beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Well, I didn't do it to my kids either because I didn't know.
Right.
But whenever they have come over for Shabbat, they get it whether they want it or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure they appreciate it.
That was really interesting. And let me ask you this: from did you then learn how to read it in Hebrew, or no?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah. Afterwards, you finally learned how to read it in Hebrew.
I finally learned how to read it.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's
um,
great.
not overnight, nothing,
No.
most good things don't happen overnight,
No.
but they
No.
take perseverance.
Yeah.
And
I find
I
that
have been blessed.
my Hebrew comes out better when I'm in Israel and everyone's speaking it. And then they're,
Sure.
like
Mhm.
Elon, who's on our board of directors, he will correct you. And not in a bad way, but
Mm.
I miss the plurality sometimes, and I miss the sex that was it attended to. In a
Mhm.
group you usually use male plural, and those things are different than in English because when I speak to all of you in English is the same as could be all women or all men or a mix,
Right.
and so we don't have those kind of finalities. Is that your puppy dog?
Yes, I guess she's saying Shabbat Shalom. I haven't lit my candles yet, but when I do,
Mhm.
I go around the house and I dance, and she tries to catch my heels.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
um,
that's great. It's not Shabbat there yet, I guess, huh?
no, it isn't. But
Oh,
and I do give her a little piece of bread and a touch of wine on my finger, and
yeah,
she comes to the table for it. She loves it. I make her
yeah.
sit.
What
So
was her name again, Betty?
her name is Braca.
Oh,
I remember Rafa.
Braca,
yeah, yeah,
blessing.
yeah. How
Yes, and
old is Braca?
she had her second birthday at the end of June.
Oh,
And
young.
the interesting thing is that her birthday was, she was born exactly 2 years on the same day that our other little puppy, who was named after me, Elisheva, passed away.
Oh, yeah. It is so
So,
amazing how close these pets become, especially
isn't it wonderful how
when,
all
when
of
you
these
become an
dates
empty
kind of
nester.
come together?
Yeah, when
Right.
you're an
And we
empty
didn't
nester.
plan it.
Yeah,
So,
it's a beautiful thing. And the other thing that I wanted to say is there's a lot of discussion about, well, are we included in that if we're not born Jewish or Israel? And I believe if you are becoming part of those tribes,
those who attach themselves to Jehovah.
right, as it says in the book of Isaiah, I think that it does apply
right.
to us. And so like I think that Torah applies to us when we decide to go down that path.
I
And
agree fully. Hmm.
and I really believe the 10 are for everyone. That's my own personal feeling,
A lot of religions have a version of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
So
and
Hmm.
it's just amazing.
I've often wondered if that was due to the tribes being scattered and the word went out abroad.
Yeah.
Them are more ancient than
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Right. And that's it. Well, I'm glad that things went well for you, Betty, and I think they did for
Yes.
Eric and Ross. And we were praying
That's
for
what I
y'all
heard.
because
Thank you.
it's prayer means a lot. And
Definitely.
I think that it's a great thing. My brother has a dog, and that's all he has, really, in his family over at his house, and
Hmm.
it's extremely connected to his well-being also. And I see that with a lot of people. We see that a lot with when we go into a nursing home
Yes.
and we bring a dog, and the people just come alive out of their almost comatose states, and they're like, oh, so that dog brings back. I remember the first dog that we got in our family. I think it was 19. I'm going to say 65 or 66. And
Hmm.
that dog lived a long time, and it becomes such a part of the family. And
Yeah, they can live to be 15 years
yeah,
old.
and cats too. Cats live
Yes.
usually longer, and it's they're more intellectual than dogs. But in my opinion,
Yes.
the dogs are more at the at the wolf stage still.
But isn't it amazing how Jehovah has kind of created all these animals for
Right.
everyone? Maybe you want a
Right.
cat, a dog, a
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a fish aquarium. It's just that there's something for everyone, and they give us such
Yeah.
joy.
I was also looking at this guy who does octopi and the on the YouTube, and how smart they are, and how they love him. They're very intelligent.
It was just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and then there's of course horses, which they're kind of at the top. I mean,
Dolphins and whales.
Very,
Yeah.
very much so.
and even I think I've spoken something before about this, but in the farm I worked on, the dairy farm, I took care of the pig, and his name was Wilbur. There were several pigs.
Oh, Wilbur.
Yeah, because of Charlotte's Web, and he just would love
Sure.
me, lose his mind every time I came over and made sounds he would only make when I came around, and we would get expired dairy and bring it in, and he was truly a pig when he ate. The problem was one day, the Dutch farmer, he had him loaded up on the truck, and I said,
Oh.
where's I was 13, where's Wilbur going? And he said, he's gonna become bacon, Dave. And I started crying. And he's like, "What are you?" Yeah, I won't use those words.
We sad about
Pigs are smart.
the laws about not eating pigs is that they're also extremely intelligent.
Oof, they're really
You know,
intelligent.
I wonder if that had something to do with it also.
Who knows?
Not just the meat being not clean. I thought that was interesting.
Well,
I think-
you will next time James is on, or in a personal conversation, you will have to ask him about the pet pig that they had in their family.
You had a pet
When
pig?
the three,
All right.
James did.
All right.
Yes. And
Oh,
and the pig lived
how
in
fitting.
the house.
Yeah.
The
I'll
pig
think-
lived in the house, and it was very loving, and the kids just loved that little pig. I don't remember its name, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, well,
I just thought it was sweet.
We did get some pictures from his trip.
We're hoping to get more.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's been to some really spectacular places, and I really liked those. He's really thinking about. Of course, he's an expert on the New Testament.
Right. So he's in a kind of his element.
He's in his element, and he's teaching, of course, and then giving people tours. And so, right now he's on the west coast of Italy. It's a little choppy, and
We
so
hope he's joins us maybe next week.
yeah, you never know when James will join us. I'm sure he's way behind on his work too. But anyways, we're going to give Miriam another chance up here. I hope we can get her. And you're always welcome to come back, Miss Betty, because you know how much we love you, sister.
Oh, I love you too. Shabbat shalom, everybody, and thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Shabbat shalom to all of you. For every single person that comes here adds things. All right.
Say that Charles Sutton says it's marvelous to hear you talk about the Aaronic blessing. Thanks, David.
Oh, all right. Well, that was because of Marianne, I believe. And
Miriam, yeah.
Miriam?
Miriam, I think, suggested it.
Oh, I thought it was Marianne.
Oh, I got to go back and check that.
Yeah,
Somebody
well,
can-
Miriam's trying to get up there. I see her up there. Can you talk yet? Yeah. We're going to have to get an IT person on your. Are
Miriam's on-
you on your phone or on your computer, Miriam? If you could
maybe
type.
type it to us.
Because I know what I had to do on Discord is I had to make sure that my mic, she's on her computer. I had to make sure that in the setups that it was choosing the correct microphone, which is that thing down there. We can go to the user settings later. But that's what I had to do once, unfortunately, Miriam. Shoot, if you could just type what you're trying to say, because we can't hear you, unfortunately. And I'm really, if you're the one who asked for the Aaronic blessing discussion,
Just want to say thank you. That is Marianne.
yeah,
She'll be here to clarify. Thank you.
yeah. I'm sorry, Miriam. I'm now going to get Clody up there. Yes, that was Arnold. Ronnie Fulcher, Miriam, said that he had to use a microphone on his computer. Okay, we're gonna get Clody up to speak, and that was Arnold on Green Acres.
Well, we'll be here for you, Miriam. When you figure it out, please come back.
Yeah.
Arnold on Green Acres?
Yeah. Someone was saying was Wilbur on Green Acres? No, Wilbur was in Charlotte's Web. Arnold was on
Arnold.
dun,
Okay.
dun, 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 dun. Hi, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Clody.
I'm getting a little bit back because I'm too much big.
That's okay. We love seeing your beautiful face.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Clody,
you.
Clody,
That's so sweet.
I love your struggles. I love your struggles with the English language because when we try to speak other languages, we're not even close to what your level is. But I have a new friend from Italy. His name is Andrea Nudeludi, and he confuses English. And in a business meeting, he said, "Hello, Dave. You are my lover." And he goes on, and I go, Andrea, let's just get that correct. I love you too. We're brothers, but we're not lovers. Oh, I'm so sorry. And everyone's on my side is laughing because we're in a meeting with all these high-end RF and microwave engineers that are talking about a radar. And we're talking about using the radar in the United States. And I was there the night his child was born, and we were very close because he lost his first son too. And there's that. It's a group you don't want to be part of, but if you are, and the last person that when we were in Sofia, Bulgaria, the last person he saw before his child was born was me. We stayed up talking and till 1:00 in the morning, and then at 4:45 a.m. his son was born, and I gave him the parsha for that week, and he's Orthodox Christian, and he lost his mind, and because he thought it was so appropriate, he named his child Ettore, which is Italian for Hector. So
Okay.
So anyways, Claudia, what's on your mind this evening?
So I would really ask a favor from you.
Yeah, sure.
Can you? I want to read something that I really like to read during Shabbat,
Sure.
but it will take like 1 minute or two.
Please, we're here to rest and listen. We're getting ready for Ross's class tomorrow. It looks like a great one, and the Zoom after discussion. So no, we study all things related to the Most High, and like Nikita said, if you're part of that congregation of the Most High, this is our focus one day a week. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, let's begin. I am Elohim, your Elohim, who liberated you from the land of Egypt, from a house of servitude. There shall not be to you other Elohim. You shall not make for yourselves a carved thing or any formed thing that is in the heavens above, or that is on the earth below, or that is in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, and you shall not serve them. I am Elohim, your Elohim. Sanctify the seventh day. 6 days I made the heavens and the earth and all that is in them, and I ceased on the seventh day. Therefore you shall cease, also you and your animal, and all that is yours. I am Elohim, your Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Honor your father and your mother. I am Elohim, your Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not kill the soul of your brother. I am Elohim, your Elohim. You shall not commit adultery with the woman of your neighbor. I am Elohim, your Elohim. You shall not steal the property of your brother. I am Elohim, your Elohim. You shall not swear by my name to deceive, because I am passionate. The iniquity of fathers will be upon children unto a third and unto a fourth generation for lifting my name to deceive. I am Elohim, your Elohim. You shall not respond against your brother with a testimony of deceit. I am Elohim, your Elohim. You shall not desire your neighbor's woman, his servant, his maidservant, or anything that is his. I am Elohim, your Elohim. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. I am Elohim.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
that
for
about
reading
says it all. If you want to talk about a faith in a paragraph, that's it, Clody.
That's it in a nutshell.
There's really nothing else beyond that that's really required. I know there is, and there's
Everything else is kind of commentary on how to follow these
Yes.
10 commandments. And,
Yes.
and I appreciate you reading that. It's so good to be reminded.
it is, and there's a lot of thinking in those too that you could go through each one of those, Clody, and have a
I just wanted to add this,
yeah
like something in the commentary of the Shema and
Yeah.
of the Aaron blessings.
Yeah.
Because I think that the Shema, as I said the other week, the last week, the
Yeah.
Shema is the entrance for these 10 words.
Yes.
And the Aaronic blessings wouldn't be there if we hadn't these words.
Right.
So I think that these are very dear to my heart and are very dear for every Shabbat to say them out loud.
Yes.
When we sit and when we wake up and when we walk in the house.
Yes.
I think that's what Shabbat is all about.
Yes, and to remind them, when I was even when our first Shabbat welcome, I kind of wrote them all out on a big paper. Just writing them out, it's a different way for the mind to
ingest it.
to ingest it, and the depth of each one of those. What does that mean in your life? Each one of those words, because it's a lot more than 10 commandments. It's something much deeper than that. There's different interpretations, and so some
Yes.
people I know say, I'm going to mow my lawn on Shabbat because I work in the firehouse. Well, that's your view. And it's not that I haven't reread a proposal on Shabbat. I'll be the first one to say it. But when it keeps 30 people employed and is due on Monday, sometimes I've done those things. And my first kidney stone I ever had, I had 13 of them in my life.
I told you about that. You told us.
The first time it was an Orthodox Jew at Cedar Sinai in L.A. And Patty brought me there, and he had kippah. And so he was.
That was the first of 13 kidney stones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oof,
Yeah. And then they stopped when I turned 50. There are 38 different types. I don't want to get into it, but I can say this to you. They almost know nothing of why they occur. They really don't. And there's,
a lot of speculation.
It's certainly, my dad had them. And I wish them on no one, because the pain was, you're like, oh my God,
I've had the same problem when I was in my 20s. But we have. I'm sorry, can I say something?
Yeah. You had a kidney stone?
I had two kidney stones.
I'm sorry.
One on the right and one on the left.
Oh,
and the one on the right got out and gave me terrible, terrible pain. And the one on the left was bigger than that. And and it was staying calmly and comfortably on inside my kidney.
Of course.
And then I asked some grandmothers.
Yeah.
And they told me about, I don't know what the name is in English, but they told me about a particular flour.
Yeah.
I had to take it and make it a big thing with tea without sugar and drinking that instead of sugar for 1 month. And I did it. And then after 1 month, I went and I did the X-rays.
X-rays, yeah.
Or CAT scan. I don't know what is it in
there's
English?
X-rays they use for kidney stones.
Yeah. So I did that, and the doctor told me, why did you come here? And I was no.
Okay.
This
well, you gotta
will be
send that
happening.
to me. You gotta send that to me in an email so I have it in case.
I will. And I wanted also to parallel this with something that I read about the plastic fungi that the scientists have years that have discovered. But I mean, for everything, God has a solution, because Earth kills itself.
Mhm.
because our body heals itself, because we have all the medicine all over the place. And
Yeah.
Carolyn Smith must know much more for that.
Okay. No, that is really beautiful. Yeah, I know from reading the Stanford University journals. I was with my Apple Watch. I was in a study they did um,
Mhm.
about hearts, and they gave me a good review afterwards, saying, your heart is in extremely good shape, and it's a lot of genes. But I also do a lot of exercising, and a long time ago I stopped sugars and things like that and processed foods. Um, but my point was is that I read from them another thing about alcohol, and that is if you're a moderate alcohol drinker and you have a 130-day of fasting from alcohol per year, you more or less cannot ever get liver disease from that.
For
Now,
how long?
Oh, that's
30
good
days.
news.
Yeah, so if you stop drinking for 30 days, and we're drinking juice tonight, it's pretty close.
Because
Next week, yeah,
wine fast.
it's the end of the wine fast. But my
I'm on a
point is that
40-day alcohol fasting.
so you're doing really good. Your liver, what I wanted to say is your liver repairs itself if you don't destroy
Good
it.
for you.
Yeah. And now that I'm a senior citizen, I want to take more care of it. I mean, I'm writing my book. I had a breakthrough this last week. I'm very excited
Oh,
because my book is not. It's it's not definable. I hate to say that about when we lost Danny, Dr. Tabor encouraged me to write a book, and I was sitting by the sea, and that experience spoke to me in ways I don't understand, the eternity and of the sea. But it was I called it right then and there on the profundity of faith, and I really struggled with what topics to put in it. Certainly, my science and engineering background versus my faith, and I kept going on and on and on. And then this weekend, this last week, it came to me what I'm going to write about because I've written thousands of pages, and I was contemplating and meditating, and it came to me, and I won't go in and waste everyone's time here, but it was like a revelation from God. I'm not saying it was, so please don't misunderstand me.
To say is that the clarity of our thinking and our energy has really improved being off of the alcohol.
Yes.
I don't know
I
if that
agree.
you.
Yeah. And I know I'm going to get Ronnie up here in a minute, but that's the thing is that when you see something after you've contemplated and thought about it for a long time, religion for me got more and more complex. And then, there was this breakthrough that was the 10 and the theophany at Horeb. And, that really changed my view of, there was a rabbi that said it's not too far away. It's not that difficult. You think it is, but it's not. So anyways, I feel that it was a good thing, and it's before the fall holy days and Feast of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, and Tabernacles, and so we're going to go there kind of with a renewed sense. Obviously, Feast of Trumpets to Yom Kippur is 10 days, and so every day I read one of the major concerns of the 10, and it reminds you of what it's good to prepare for that day. So now I'm very excited that the fall is coming, and those days are coming, and I can't wait till we all get back together again. I'm not sure when that'll be, but I know that Ross and Seth and
maybe we should try to arrange something for this little group, some sort of a meeting.
Yeah,
Would be awesome.
but we're so diverse. That's the problem in terms of geographically dispersed.
Just a thought.
Yeah, but I do when we go to New York, I don't know, how far are you from the city, Claudie?
I'm in Long Island. I'm like more, like, I don't know, 1 hour,
Oh, I
one
see.
hour away.
Yeah, we're going there for a wedding, and Patty's friends from Chicago. Patty's from the city of Harvey. Was it Harvey,
If
Illinois?
it's not Sunday, I think I can arrange to meet you if you tell me beforehand. I would love to meet
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be at the end of September.
you. Oh,
We'll
yeah.
send you the dates, and the good
Yes.
news is that we're attending a wedding from children of our good friends that live that
A
I've
happy event.
happy event. I met Joe, the father. I was 13 and he was 12, and I hit him really hard in a hockey game, and then we had a little bit of scrapping. He realized he didn't want to fight a farm boy like me, and we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. All right, we're gonna let Ronnie get up. I'm sorry I took so long yakking, but it's
I'm sorry I took you so long.
no, never.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, and we'll be here for a while. Let's go with Ronnie Fulcher, who is probably in this group. I met him the same time I met Ross, I think, and we
Longest-standing members
Yeah.
of United Israel.
yeah, Ronnie Fulcher. Are you there, Ronnie?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're done. You're perfect.
Okay, well, good. Well, thank you for. I didn't know I was perfect, but that's all right too.
Yeah.
Look, you was talking about the blessing. Something unique happened this week. One of my daughters texted me, said, "Daddy, we have a rabbi here at the facility come to bless the plant."
Oh.
I reckon because that way they get the kosher mark on their milk, which they bottle milk there and make ice.
I see. Yeah.
But it was unique because the rabbi was from Houston, Texas.
Oh.
And I'm going like, wow, they come a long way to do this. I never could get the guy's name, but it was just, then you were talking about the blessings. I was just wondering, does anybody have any experience, like what kind of blessing do they say when they go to a plant to they could get the kosher sign? Anybody know anything about that?
I don't.
Look it up, kosher blessing of a plant.
Yeah, no, of a facility.
Okay.
So when you get the U or the K on the product, and
to get the certification.
the certification. I won't go into what one of our friends who owned a slaughterhouse said about them, because I don't want to get people ill, but it's very scary the way they kosher slaughter compared to normal slaughter of animals.
Well, Dave, when I was in Israel, I actually went to a slaughterhouse there and watched them do it. Well, a rabbi got up there and he did you know what I'm talking about, without getting into the details.
Yeah. No,
it is different. It's no doubt. It is different.
Well, in a real slaughterhouse today, the animal feels no pain; it's instantaneous. Whereas with them, so I went to a Christian producer of beef, and that was truly a beautiful experience. The way they prayed, told the cow they loved it. I mean, it was very. I think that people, whether they eat meat or not, that's another whole issue. But what I would say is this: that regardless of what your food source is, you should vet it, because in the days of the tribes all the way up till through the time of Jesus, people were very close to their food sources, and they understood, you can't just go into a big supermarket and pick up anything you want. And being on a farm, just even baling hay, which was food for the cows, there was a dairy farm. That's the effort. Even with the machines, you were totally beat, lifting these 70-pound bales up and that kind of thing. Planting and what it takes to plant a field of alfalfa or any, corn, it's also very destructive to the whole ecosystem there. Something that my vegetarian friends should look into. How many animals are killed when you plant a field of corn? Maybe they're not at the level of the other ones. I don't, I'm not saying that, but it disrupts a lot of things. And so if from that perspective, vetting it and thanking the Most High for your food, I think is extremely important. And so for me, that's something that I do all the time. And I think Nikita was talking about this the other week. Really, I feel that I have a very close view of my life also, like Nikita, and that is just we should be grateful for what we have. And it goes with one of the 10, not coveting other people's stuff. But my point is, you don't realize how many blessings you already have. And she brought up the point, which is kind of a different way of viewing it. That look, if you want more, you're saying what God gave you isn't enough. And in a sense, and I really like that view that Nikita brought up, because to me, that's very true. Hey, I have a nice pencil here, and there are better pencils in the world, but this does what I need it to do, and that kind of thing. And I think we forget about that. That I don't think that when you go out and see the Bedouins, their places look like hell, but they're living life. They're kind of nicer inside. And for me, it just reminds us that I was talking today. My grandparents on the Tyler side had an outdoor toilet. I mean, we went out there and looked for the Sears catalog, and hopefully the thin pages were still left. And that, that's a generation, my dad and then his mom and dad, and they had a coal furnace. And I'm sure there's people listening now that even had it worse. I had a very good friend who's a very big vice president of a very large company I won't name, but until they were 16 and 17 in his house, they had no indoor plumbing, and they lived in upstate New York. So think about that for a moment. Trying to go to the bathroom when it's 20 below zero is a chore. So anyways, I think being so grateful for what we have, running water is such a blessing if you've ever had to get water from somewhere else, and all those things. So vetting all of this, I believe. I watched. We had a tornado here 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, and watching all these people working their backs out. I mean, there's so much that has to be done to just clear the rubble that came. Two churches. What?
I have an answer when you're
okay. Two churches were torn down. Buildings were torn down by the twist. There was only an EF2 compared to what some people get out there in Oklahoma in that area. I saw an EF5 once, and I was at Tinker Air Force Base, and we ran into a very solid, tornado. What they call them? They had a big door, and when it went over the base, the hotel I was staying at was gone except for the slab, and it was so big that it didn't even look like a tornado. It looked like a cloud had landed on the ground, and unfortunately, it killed people and that kind of thing. Anyways, it's one of those things where when you eat food that's kosher or any other way, you should be grateful that it happens. Patty's got something on that kosher,
okay,
Ronnie.
I have a ChatGPT app on my phone. It says in Jewish tradition, there isn't a specific prayer or blessing that is universally recited for kosher certification.
Okay.
I got that on Google also.
Well, I know that they're certainly going to look at the Levitical rules. That I know for a fact because I've spoken.
But maybe individually, people have something they like to say, but there isn't a required
No, I think it's
standard.
up to the rabbi. but I certainly got to look at the Levitical rules,
Definitely.
and I do know that and beyond there's rabbinical rules as we all know, and I mean I don't follow the rabbinical rules. I just follow what's in the book. But people that do follow the rabbinical rules have two refrigerators, a meat refrigerator and a dairy refrigerator, and there are a lot of other rules about during Passover. What even between the Sephardic and the Ashkenazi Jews, there's huge differences, and of course the other types of Jews that there are. And so, Ronnie, I don't think what she's saying is I don't think they have to say a prayer, but they probably have their
Well,
own.
you know how there's a lot of standard prayers for this
Yeah.
and the other. There isn't a standard
Yeah,
one, universal one.
yeah. I would
Right.
check with Chabad also, though. I'm
Right,
just
right.
saying we could check with Chabad after this because that's an issue. But what I wanted to say is that I think fatting and giving thanks for the food and I think but I've been fasting for health reasons, so I've kind of gotten more used to fasting. But I remember the first time I fasted on Yom Kippur, and I'm a real coffee person, and so is Patty. It, it was just the headaches and all the other things just from not having caffeine. And one Jewish thing I did like, Ronnie, I'll tell you this: there's a Jewish rabbinical tradition that says once you're 70, you don't have to fast on Yom Kippur. And by the way, Ross taught a class about this. Is fasting what is even mentioned? No, not really. It's what people said should be mentioned. So again,
Well, it says afflict your soul, and I feel afflicted when I'm fasting.
yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah, and Ross is asking you, Ronnie, what happened in your case? Do you know what prayers were said, or for your daughters, or doesn't she know?
No, she worked up in the front office, but I knew I asked her some questions in the her answer. He wasn't Orthodox, so he was some other
Yeah,
brand of Judaism,
Yeah.
But in fact, he came all the way from Houston, Texas. So I'm like, maybe he's got an in with the company. He goes to locations or something for that company. But it's like they could get a rabbi closer than Houston.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe this is what he does on the side or something.
How far would you say that? How far is your daughter's plant from Houston?
Probably 8 to 10 hours.
Oh my gosh! Wow, you mean driving?
Driving time, yeah.
That's quite an amazing thing. I believe personally that there could have been someone closer. Maybe he's like you say, got a deal with that company and goes to other plants or something like that. And I know that there are in Chabad, there's a group that goes and does all this certification. I always wonder about it on a plane. When I'm flying to Israel, you see all those kosher dinners that come out, and these are usually ultra orthodox people, and I'm sure that if they found out that it wasn't kosher, there would be problems.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like Memphis is like 3 hours, so I knew there are some synagogues around the Memphis area is a lot closer.
Yeah. Wow. It's one of the things that one of the other things I was going to say is that we have the so-called food scientists that really, their idea was to increase food production and make it last longer, but in many ways they've destroyed our food sources. And as you know, by genetic mutations of plants and processing and all these, you read through the list of ingredients on some foods and you're like, what? Why in the heck are they putting that in our food supply, and to get it to taste better, or to make it cheaper, or to make it last longer. I don't know. I feel that we've moved far away from what the Almighty intended.
For our food products.
Yeah, and that's something it's a real difficult thing. It's kind of like Patty went to buy some things today, and in a store, and everything she looked at was made in China, and it was like she couldn't even buy something from India or Vietnam or Bangladesh or, God forbid, America. And it's amazing how that money drives that kind of thing.
And a lot of the holidays, like Christmas and just the fall decorating season, they put out a lot of things, material things made in China.
Yeah, and the other thing is that like, Ross brought up that I wrote Bah Humbug, why do you celebrate Hanukkah? Because in New York, Hanukkah became a competitor to Christmas for the Jewish families and their kids. And it's extremely not the same thing at all. There's 8 nights of giving gifts, and there was what was the tree called? They had a tree.
The Hanukkah bush.
No. There was something like a Christmas tree, and I understand they're trying to give their kids something, for that end of the year stuff. But and it's not a biblical holy day. It's a great story, Kislev 24, and I think it's important. I'm not saying that,
right.
But I mean for you to like make it into a big holiday. The other thing is I like to say is that there's 10 commandments, 10 fingers, and there's 7 holy days, 7 plus Shabbat, so you got them on your fingers. And I would say to my Jewish friends, can you name me the 7 holy days that are mentioned in the Bible? And it was stunning that they couldn't. In fact, they're misnamed. Like Passover is not the Passover. It's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And the Passover is an event that happens in the Feast of Unleavened Bread celebrates. But there's 2 holy days in there, right? The first and last day of unleavened bread. Right. And then as we go on to Shavuot or Pentecost, what's the meaning of that? The counting of the Omer. I mean, those are important things. And then the Feast of Trumpets somehow got named Rosh Hashanah, head of the year. Well, the head of the year, according to the Bible, is way back in Abib.
Abib, right.
Well, yeah, right. It was. So it's called Nisan now.
Back to the food. Barbara Lamar says that a lot of U.S. foods are not accepted in other countries.
Right.
I saw a list like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just amazing.
Yeah. No, it is. It is a bad thing. And then of course Yom Kippur, and then the tabernacles, it's a beautiful time. And they're definitely related to harvest types of things. Agricultural cycles. And depending on where you were, and how they're determined. Anyways, you should at least know those 7, and plus Shabbat is in that chapter is mentioned first before all the other holy days.
So Cody mentions, just for curiosity, it is called rusty back tea. Does anyone know what she means?
No.
Rusty back tea?
Rusty back tea. I'm not sure what.
I'm not sure what that means.
Do you know what the flour is? Oh, she just said it's rusty black tea.
Oh,
it was the flour. Yeah.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
It's funny about the food thing. One more thing is that a lot of people these days have this gluten issue, and then they'll go to Israel and eat the pizza and bread there, and they have no problem.
Yeah.
So what are they doing in the processing and the growing of the wheat, the manufacturing?
Yeah.
That is, causing such issues.
Yeah. Who knows?
Right.
You probably don't want to know.
Right. Want to know all the details.
I don't tell Patty what we were doing in Afghanistan. She just doesn't need to know. Oh, spraying it with Roundup. Oof. That's another thing that's really not good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. There's been enormous biological changes to men and the reproductive capability.
Mm-hmm.
And it came in a bad way. It came with the advent of these advanced fertilizers,
Right.
and it's not good. You know, I'm not an end time kind of person, but you know, hey Jehovah, if you're coming, I think now is a good time.
Well, a lot of health experts say to try to buy things that don't have an ingredient list.
Right.
Just buy Whole Foods and
Yeah,
but there's still going to be pesticides and things like that, but you're a little bit closer.
yeah, yeah. I even then you got to worry, you know, because here's another lie that's told to us. Oh, it's organic in the store. Well, what do you mean by that? And when you get looking into that, it's not what you think it is. I feel much more organic with the Amish that live around here.
Definitely.
They don't use any.
You can buy eggs from
chemicals.
them.
Yeah, and their eggs are all free range. They just go out and pick up a dozen eggs for you and bring them back.
That doesn't mean 1,000 chickens in a tiny shed. And these are really free range.
Right, they are free range. And speaking of that, we went to the New York State Fair, and we got into the farm area, which it's really kind of was supposed to be farms in the beginning, and the different chickens and roosters. There's so many types. I had no idea, and how beautiful some of them were.
Yeah, well, one of them had like feathers on its head that they looked like the beetles.
Yeah.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
They'd shake it, they'd move it. It was,
And the one that won the whole shooting match was absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful bird.
right,
And
right.
you know, huge.
Breeding went on with these birds.
Huge though. The hugeness of it was another thing.
Gigundo.
I mean, you know, and then of course where the horses were, they have those kind of you know, the big horses from like over
The Clydesdales.
well, even bigger than that.
The Morgans.
Yeah, there was
Working horses.
yeah, it was
Belgians.
Belgians.
Yeah, Belgians.
Those dogs will put you know it so Karen says Araucana roosters are my favorite. Yeah, I don't know, there were so many names, I couldn't tell you what they were. And then they had all the other types of animals, beautiful, and we got to meet a young farm kid that was showing his cow, and you know, it was just a really beautiful thing. And you understand the closeness, you know. We live in dairy farm area, so there's a lot of and the plants that are grown here are mostly for feeding the dairy farms. So there's acres and acres of corn, but you wouldn't want to eat that corn. And Ross says, we have chickens and I eat fresh eggs.
Oh man.
I
wish we could have a chicken.
Yeah, we can in our neighborhood.
We could grow a garden. But
We can't even shoot the guns. We did have a good day shooting the guns this
we did
afternoon.
shoot guns today.
We went out and you know
did some practice.
practiced shooting. I have an IWI Masada, and so does Patty. And it's a smooth working gun. We had a good time with that, and we teach gun safety at no cost to people, because we believe if you're going to have a gun, you should understand that
Exactly.
you should never have to use it other than shooting targets.
Hopefully never
Yeah.
have to use that.
And anyways, that's a whole nother, you know, our business probably you don't like.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ronnie, I'm going to get Nikita up here.
Thank you, Ronnie.
And I wanted to say thank you for your question, and I can't wait to see you again, brother. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
We're going to get Nikita up there. Nikita, hallelujah, it says right on there. She knows the Hebrew. Hey, Nikita, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom and Shabbat shalom and greetings to the congregation of the Most High. Forgive me, I had a pepper in my throat.
Yeah, I feel better already.
Do you now?
Yeah, just because you spoke.
Well, I have a question for you, Dave. With your scientific mind, I wanted to see if you could answer something for me.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay. Do you have any information as to what the process of thought is?
Yeah. So,
In general?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've written a lot about this. and I can't give you a direct answer, but I could send you some of my writings that I felt, but it's also known by the science world, the biologists. So so I've got to start at the bottom. It's believed that all living things have some element of consciousness, even the smallest. It's very low consciousness, and then as we go up the ladder, the next level is called sapience, which our dogs are sapient, we're sapient, cats are sapient, most animals are sapient that live and have to hunt and stuff. But then there's sentient, then there's sapiens. We're known as Homo sapiens, and that distinguishes us from the rest of the animal world. There are belief that some of the lower level of sapience is understood or is capable by like whales and dolphins, but they certainly don't have the level of sapience. So the only thing in the universe that we know of that's sapient is ourselves. So I'm going to start right there. But a great medical doctor and PhD in biology has written a book on biocentrism, and he said the most unanswerable question in biology is, what is consciousness and where does it come from? So before we even get into thought, just being conscious, what is consciousness? So then to the next level, we know that how our thoughts work in our brain, from a simple point of view, we have all these neurons. These neurons are all connected in nets, and those neurons fire. And why do they fire? Only Jehovah knows that. They fire to get an answer. So, for instance, if you were asked, Nikita, that car that passed you today and cut you off, what color was it? And you're positive that it was a red car, let's just say. You're only 70% sure that it was a red car in the neural firings. But that's such an overwhelming response. It says absolutely. So we know, by the way, in court cases that eyewitness testimony is not reliable because so many things are happening. So, but the thought process is then building up a lot of these decisions. So it's called majority voting in the brain. So the brain looks at all these neural networks and says, 60% of you are believing that this is the reason, and so we're going to go with that reason. And so that's part of the process, the way the neurons are put together, and the way they and there's trillions of them in our brain. And there might be billions, I might be off on that, but those processes work on frameworks of neurons. Now, in the frameworks of neurons, there's different cortexes in your brain. Some are visual, some are auditory, some are linguistic, some are physical, but the brain is believed to be mostly a visual processing a type of mechanism, and so a lot of studies been done. One of the famous ones was done in Wall Street, and it said that of 100% of knowledge that's transferred, 7% comes from the written word, right? Then 30. Help me with it. 7. Then to get to 45, it'd be 38% is done through auditory, and then 55% is done visually. So, and how this might work in the real world, just to let you know, I could write on a text and you could take it the wrong way. And you're like, what's with you, Dave? And you could get angry and we can get into a fight over a stupid text. If I called you, you're much less likely to understand. And we have things in our mind that it's believed the animals don't have, like sarcasm. And one of the things that machines are having trouble with is humor. So why is something funny? And why is something funny between us as a group and not for the atheists that live next door? They're very specific to a circumstance. Beyond that, there's the idea that in these frameworks, we store memories. And so now all of a sudden, you might have reminded something your parents told you. You might reminded something in a book. You might be reminded of your religious studies, of good and bad things that happen with the people you've known. And in there, the brain has the ability to filter those in the level of importance. Well, one of the problems we know is that as we go forward in thought, we start to compress the older thoughts into very simple ways to go back and look at them. And so what happens is the older you are, the more compression has happened. This is also believed to be why we experience time faster as we get older. And I think you could remember when you were, say, 7 years old, summer was forever. I got out of school. Hell, I'm not going back for months. Now it's like, well, it was Memorial Day. Oh, then Labor Day's gone. And now all of a sudden we're heading towards, the Feast of Trumpets. And then, a couple of weeks from now, we'll be saying that's all gone. We're looking forward to the first week of, the first week of the unleavened bread. After that, I mean, I'm just saying. And then you realize, well, now all of a sudden I've had 60, 70 of these times around the sun. And so we've compressed things. And I don't think the Most High has to compress anything. But we'll remember good things and bad things as well. So the other thing is, another problem in our thought is that we sometimes merge. We sometimes merge thought memories, and this isn't good. And so every once in a while, Patty reminds me that I've kind of messed up something that happened. So in terms of the process of thought, it's based on the neural nets making decisions at a very low level, and then when they're gathered together by the millions and billions, the brain has an ability to put them together and make sense out of it. The design of the Almighty, Most High. And so my issue is, I really don't know what to say.
Well, dang, Dave,
So-
that's a pretty darn good answer.
Well, I've been writing my book, so she hit me at the right time. Well, no, but I mean, I still didn't answer a question directly.
It's a good start.
It's not known, and one of the things I would say that I believe is that we're not going to know everything.
Right.
Despite what Ross is trying to do, get everything done and teach us everything about the Bible, he'll never be able to do that. And thank God. And nor will we have to know about all those things.
But it's kind of good to not have all the answers to
Right.
everything because,
Yeah.
there's something more to explore.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say about thought in general, that I've grown up in, and I practice much more stoic approach. Because stoicism, I'm not saying from a religious point of view, but to answer in measure. And so sometimes people answer you not unmeasured. They get very angry over things that aren't that big of a deal, but they're a big deal to them. And then to get into a fight, it's awful easy if you go back at that same level in it. And so in this concept that we work in the intelligence world, it's about getting the discourse straight. There's a great, happened to be Jewish psychologist that we worked with, Dr. David Baskins, and he said, if you cannot get somebody into a level agreement or level discussion in 4 sentences, you should wait and talk to them later. And this was based on the idea of there are kind of 3 states of the human brain. There's a childlike state, there's an adult state, and then there's a parental state. Now, in the child state, there's a good child and a bad child state. The good child wants to learn. The good child is got all kinds of ideas. The bad child is a little brat in your brain. All right. Then at the adult level, there's only one. It's adult to adult. Let's talk about this and try to understand, leave the emotions out of it. Then in the parental state, there's the good parent. Well, son, maybe that's not the best thing for you to be doing right now and all that. And then there's the bad parent, right? You little brat, you shouldn't be doing that. And so when we talk, there's a lattice that develops between us, and how quickly, when I talk to Ross, it's in the adult state all the time, or the child state when we're making fun of people. No, just kidding. But that issue is that another thing that came out of that, that there was two great a medical doctor and a psychologist that were married. Their name escapes me, but after World War II, they went to look at all these orphanages, and certain orphanages that were very clean, sterile, and the kids were rocking in there, and they needed to be hugged.
Is it in Russia?
No, but it was somewhere else too, though. But don't let me. But the other ones they went to were not as clean, but the caretakers hugged the children, and so they came up with this model that said you need so many acknowledgments per day. And this is very powerful psychology that I believe in, that the worst thing you can do is not acknowledge another person's existence. So, yeah, you can say really mean things to them, but the worst thing is don't even respond. And that is powerful. It's hard to do. You have to be stoic because you're like, I wish I would have told them this. I'm sure you've been in these discussions when somebody blasts you with something you weren't expecting, and you went away and you thought, man, I wish I could have said that to them. But not responding is really the worst thing. At the end of the day, people need their strokes, they're called, and to be recognized. And if you work in isolation, you realize that you do need those strokes, even if they're not good strokes. They can be bad, but at least you're recognized as being alive.
Existence.
And so when we all talk and chat and everything, we're stroking each other in the parlance of the two, and I think there were two Jewish people. But anyways, that was back in World War II, and so. The thought process is so complex in humans, and it has a lot of sensory input, and it has a lot of memory, and that memory isn't always cogent. It's sometimes misplaced, and especially people that have been abused. We know this is a really bad thing.
Okay, I just want to say something. The husband and wife team, known for their significant contributions to the study of children in orphanages.
Yeah.
Dr. Selma Freiberg and Dr. Herbert Freiberg.
Yes, that's that.
Okay.
Yeah, someone had it on there. Thank you.
Well, I have my AI. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Patty's a lot smarter these days. Eric Nagel said, "Love is a verb," and of course, I love the Tom Rundgren song. And so my point at the end of the day is that Einstein said this: if you're not learning, that's the end of your life. Mm-hmm. In fact, the last day of his life, they took a picture of his desk and everything that was on it. And Bob Dylan said, if you're not busy learning, you're dying.
You say, if you're not growing, you're dying.
So I know I spoke around your question, but
that gets a good start.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it, and it's not an easy answer. And just remember that consciousness is the biggest mystery in biology. Anyways.
Was that a good answer, Nikita? Do you have anything else you want to add or ask?
Well, what was your thoughts, Nikita?
Yeah.
Well, all my thoughts come from an insult I received. So my sister, her name is Giannis, is Giannis. It all depends on what day of the week it is. When we were younger, well, I don't know, all cultures are different. So when we were younger and we got mad at each other, we would insult each other. And my mother always warned me, my sister's 4 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
And she said, don't do that with her, because although the devil got high honors, she graduated in that class valedictorian.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that is funny.
Well, she's my mother's daughter, so they both had the same sharp, intense wit.
Yeah.
And so my sister said to me, she said, You haven't had an original thought since you said ouch at birth.
You could be a comedian now, Nikita. I didn't know there was but I hope I'm not insulting you, but I mean,
It's a humor. It's a good thing.
it's a sense.
It's a wonder. It's necessary.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, but when you grow up in a house with all of these people with all this ammunition and you have nothing,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, yeah, okay. So, well, anyway, so the reason I brought that up is because I thought about what she said, and even though it was meant as an insult, it was a very great truth.
Uh-huh.
I mean, your original thoughts don't exist. Okay,
Right.
when we come into the world, we're taught, and everything we know is because we were taught.
Yes.
So a million years ago, when I was teaching a class, I said that Solomon was given credit for being the wisest person, but Adam was the most knowledgeable person
Yeah.
because he got everything that he knew from the Most High.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you take a piece of paper and put it in a room with a pencil, no matter when you come back, that paper won't have anything written on it because paper can't write on itself. Right?
Yeah.
Neither can we. We cannot write on ourselves. We don't have the wherewithal or the information. We can take the information that we have and manipulate it.
Yeah.
But we cannot write on ourselves. So when you were going through your explanation about, thought, the neurons, those are the physical things about how thought may be transmitted and how desire, like if I want to move my toe, my mind has to get with the parts of my body to animate that toe.
Exactly.
But as far as a thought, and Clody answered it perfectly. Thank you, Clody. I was watching the chat while you were talking to see if anybody else was going to add to it. And she said the source of everything good is the Most High.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
So when you have, one and one, and then you're like, well, if I put these two together, that'll make two. Everything good and perfect comes from the Most High. Now, we can take anything and bastardize it to make it a weapon.
Right.
As in speech, as in, when the Most High made trees, Cain took that, made a club out of it and killed Abel.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tree wasn't created for its alternative use of wickedness. It was created for the goodness.
Right.
So, and I love what you said about unreliable eyewitnesses. It's not so much that they're so unreliable, is that when we see things, we bring the totality of our existence into what we see and how we interpret it when we see it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. And another thing, what did Solomon say? There's nothing new under the sun. We even when we make something, someone made this glass, but they didn't create this glass. They took what was in the earth and they heated up the sand and they made the glass. But who made the sand?
The properties of the sand in order for it to be made glass.
Exactly.
So there was I did a lesson on the creator because there is only one. We can fabricate as far as put things together once we learn their properties and of this nature. But before, when he made that silicone back in the 6 days of creation, the cell phone was already created. Right. It was already made. It was already done. So the Most High in 6 days created eternity. Yeah. It is not that he did not foresee this type of greatness. And what gets me, and I'm not a fan of carbon dating. I'm not sure if I understand it enough in order to be a fan of it.
Yeah.
But, and the reason I say that is, they're like, oh, this rock is however many years, 1,000 years, geologically speaking, old. Okay, I'm like, okay, did you factor in the pressure and the height of the water of the deluge and how that might have affected the age?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that I believe personally, that you have to be careful in determining age when you read the Bible in the Hebrew Bible. These terms even how they counted things are questionable, and so I don't let those things bother me. Is what I'm trying to say, Nikita. I say, look, this is the way the myth came down to me, the story, and it's what I believe, and I believe there were miracles that were done. I believe that Moses didn't part the Red Sea, that the Most High parted the Red Sea, that he made the fire rain down in Egypt. I believe in those miracles, and other people did miracles, like Elijah and all these other folks. So the Most High created the physics that we live in, but he can manipulate them because he created it. So he can do whatever he chooses to do. And so I believe, for me, at the end of the day, I go back to those 10 and make sure that I'm trying to do those 10 to the best of my ability. And, what those 10 mean over years changes also. We're sometimes we get much different opinions about what they mean. Anyways, I really do like the idea that we could talk about thought, because that's really the depth of who we are. In our soul, there are thoughts, and how we arrange those thoughts, how we process those thoughts. To me, everything that's what the soul is in there. The essence of Nikita, there's a physical body, but the essence of Nikita is that untouchable soul that's inside. And as a lot of my friends say, as they got older, my soul doesn't feel old in that sense of like my body does. I worked out this week. I'm a little sore today, but my brain ain't sore. My soul isn't sore. And I think that's, the way the Almighty designed us. It's more mature, and it feels like an old soul, but that's because it's been through so many experiences like you have. And so at the end of the day, it's an open discussion I would like to continue to have. What is thought? What's the thought process? And
the Most High is the one who, you can not be thinking about anything related, and a thought comes out of, seems like left field, and it's like, did my brain conjure up that? No, we don't have that type of ability. So I was talking to another friend of mine, and she said, to the effect that, I don't think God's ever spoken to me. I said, he doesn't need lips to speak to you. He created your brain. He can put it right there in your head.
Yeah.
He doesn't need lips to speak to you. He doesn't have to use your ears to translate what he wants you to know to your mind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's why all praise to him. I just can't fathom having a deity that I worship and praise and love and serve who does not communicate with me.
Yeah.
And he made man's mouth. What makes you, of course he can make us understand him. And it's not, and as I said before, and it's not Abraham's faith that has the joy in my heart. It's my own experience with the Most High myself.
Amen. That's the way it should be. There shouldn't be anyone else. There shouldn't be anyone in front of you.
They're training wheels. I'd love to hear testimonies. When I get into a room of people and somebody said, this is what happened to me, I have no explanation for it, so I know. The factor is, it's like, I love jigsaw puzzles and I love mysteries.
Yes.
And when you have the information and then you see it coming together to put this picture together, and that's where your answer is. I'm like, the feeling. And of course, this because you're scientific. When you're doing your experiments and you see everything coming together to something that your mind translates as an, oh, wow, that type of moment. And you say, here's the answer. It's not that the answer didn't already exist.
Right.
It's just now that the Lord, the Most High, who's in control of our senses, turned that vision of thought up, turned that hearing of thought up, turned it all up so we can focus in on the greatness that we're looking for. And I was like, oh, thank you. Especially now that we're at our age, that, we put reason. Yeah. And then, you stand there and then you walk out and you come back and it doesn't come to you until later. Yeah. It's still the same thing.
Yes.
Or we retrace our steps. He's so Oh, he's beyond searching out, but his mercy and his love endures forever to those who seek him. So I don't have an issue with supposed contradictions, because, you know, two of us can go to a game, and if I'm on one team and you're on another team, I'd swear that was a touchdown, and you'd be like, no, he was a few inches off.
Yeah.
But, you know, let us switch those, and it would be your touchdown, and it would be my few inches off. Or and I used to watch boxing. Before it became so corrupted, it was unnecessary. And I'll be like, if you want to win a fight, you got to knock the guy out, because if not, you will be robbed.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Also, when we quiet our brain down, and this is, I'm speaking from my experience, and sometimes we're so noisy, we don't hear the Almighty. And I won't go into the detail, but I was, had a boat on a lake here. It was a small little sailboat, a Hobie Cat, and I bought it used, and we used to go sailing on it. It was a $700 or $800 boat, and it got kind of late in the year, and I'm supposed to bring it. I have to sail it across the lake, which is like 3 miles, and then pull it out and put it away for the winter. And when I started off, it was a beautiful day. And I got halfway across the lake, and it was like some Steven Spielberg movie. It was storming and blowing, and the boat flips over. I'm in the middle of the lake. It's in November. No one can see me. No, and and I had glasses back then, and my glasses fell into the water, and I'm blind, and I'm freezing in the water, and the boats they would flip, but then it went what they call turtle, which is fully upside down, and then I'm panicking, and finally I just said, Almighty, I know there's a lot going on right now in the world, but I could use a little help. And I just laid my head down, and I realized, oh my God, there's a plug on both of the hulls. I opened one of the plugs, it flooded the hull, and it got the boat this far. And then I got up on it and pulled the boat the rest of the way. And I'm like, I would have never thought of doing that. And I actually wrote an article about it. And people said this is a really good safety tip. But it came to me, I believe, from the Most High that said, look down at that hole down there. And I don't know why I did that, but I think the Most High speaks. And because I could have died out there. And then as I almost got into shore, I was paddling or trying to get into shore. A guy comes out with his boat, this old guy, and he says, how much you give me if I tow you in? And I'm thinking, here I'm almost dead, and you're trying to do a good. I said, I got $20 on me. He goes, that'll do. And so I had to pay him $20 to tow me a quarter mile.
The greatest power in prayer is that we're asking He who we know has an answer. And when you ask, if you pray and don't look for an answer, you've wasted your breath. When you prayed that prayer where you were like, look, I don't want to bother you. I know you got a lot of stuff you can do, but I could use some help. You started looking for the help that He could give you.
Yeah.
That's the power of prayer. It's not so much that it's the acknowledgement that my help can only come from one source.
Right.
I don't care how He gets it there. I don't care if He gets it in a greedy person out there towing, or instead of just helping you because you needed help. Yeah. It's this beauty and the majesty of the way the Most High does things. Yeah. So I'm not caught up on, the contradictions and the way somebody reported in an event, because it's just natural to each of us not to see the same things. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was, I'm so tired. I'm like, you're doing great. She's like, no, I'm tired. You're doing great because everything is getting done. You can't see your own chin. No. So let me tell you what I see when I look at you. I see you. Well, if you can, you might need to jog around the block a little bit. I said, I see you being successful. You're like, I don't have any more strength. I said, but I see you being successful. You don't see the strides you're making. Just rest on the fact that the things are getting done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, amen.
Amen, Nikita.
All right. I've said way too much. Y'all have a wonderful Shabbat. Love you all. And thank you for letting me talk.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Thoughts.
Some great thoughts. We're going to get Betty up here, and I think hopefully she's still there. You there, Betty?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Betty.
Hi. I know, Nikita, you may not have been talking about me, but we had a conversation, something like that, and you asked me if I could see my chin. And I thought, why are you saying that? And then you went on to explain, well, I can't see my own chin. So anyway, that's beside the point. But I just, you made me smile when you were telling that story.
Yeah, and all I can say is it's good to have other people to talk to.
Yes.
Usually we have other people coming, but I think given the week I had, I'm going to head off to bed, and I want to say the Aaronic blessing, even though we've already read it, and I also want to remind people of 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern, and or much earlier in certain parts of the world, or much later. And if you're in a land down under, you just it's a wonder that you could even see it at all. No, I'm joking because Joan was here. I can't
Hey,
wait.
Dave.
Yeah,
Dave, can I just leave you with a thought?
sure.
And that is Proverbs, I think it's 23:7.
Okay.
As a man or woman, whatever, thinks in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
So it's not just the brain. I mean, the heart has its own system of neurons and all, and it's supposed to cooperate with the brain. But it's all very interesting when you say something is heartfelt.
Yes.
You're feeling it in your heart, but you're also coming to that conclusion in your brain.
Yes.
So
and the other thing is, you can be it can lead you down the wrong road too. I'm speaking for myself, not you, Betty.
No, the heart is deceitful above all things, it says too. So
it overreacts a lot, but in good ways and bad ways. That's what I'm going to say.
Yes.
And Ross just put up is the law code post Mosaic. That's his talk tomorrow. He just wants to court more controversy. And this is Sasha. She's here. She's saying we're supposed to be going to bed, Dad. There she is down there. Look at Sasha. Look at over there, Sasha.
No, she wants the rest of the hollow.
Yeah, it's gone, honey. We had a little piece. We keep a little piece, and it's always great to hear from you, Betty, and all the people that were here. And all I can say is thank you for coming. And we're going to read the blessing, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, hopefully.
Yes.
Or depending on where you're
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Yeah. May Jehovah bless you and keep you. Jehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Jehovah turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen and amen. We love all of you. Thank you for coming.
See you tomorrow.